Hooray! It's a cringe classic that's not on fucking BuzzFeed. Yay! It's on Milo Stewart. Boo!
This video is going to include discussions about racism, and because I am white, none of these thoughts about racism in this video are my original thought.
Because white people are literally incapable of independent thought. As we know, no person of a whiter complexion has ever been the victim of racism, like being told their opinion doesn't matter because of their skin colour. Wait a minute.
I accredit to most of the ideas that I have picked up from these two videos created by two very lovely black YouTubers.
Oh my god, it's everyone's favourite crazy entitled shit. A quava y'all. According to him, every single time a black person and a white person have sex, it's rape for the black person, no matter what, because reasons. I did a vid, link in the description. Go and watch it after this, or go and come back, or watch them both 3 times whilst touching yourself. I won't judge.
So go and check them out, please, because they're lovely and awesome, and why not?
Of all the things I would use to describe Ghazi, and by extension anyone who agrees with his fucking wacky views, is not lovely. You know he hates you, right? For being born wrong? It's kind of his shtick.
All white people are racist, all men are misogynistic, all cisgender people are transphobic, all members of a majority are biased against the members of the minority or oppressed group.
And that pretty much sums up all of Milo's fucking baffling views. You hate these people, treat them badly, are generally unpleasant, and go out of your way to make their lives worse because you are not part of their demographic. Forget the fact that I will try my best to ignore any physical characteristics and just deal with the person. Nope, I'm incapable of being a decent person because of arbitrary characteristics. There are some words for that way of thinking about a person.
In fact, most people are racist, misogynistic, transphobic, ableist, etc.
God, if that's your life experience, you must live in some post-apocalyptic hellscape. Insert joke about hometown of subject here.
I am racist, classist, ableist.
And the fact that you can sit there smiling and saying you are these monstrous things either means you are a fucking terrible person, like just the fucking worst. The type of person I would seriously have to consider watching burn alive if I happened to have a bucket of piss to put them out. Or you have some really frilly nonsense definitions that really don't mean anything and are not that bad. So you're kind of happy to call yourself that. The unfortunate thing is, Milo, we already have established definitions for those. So you are just sat there calling yourself a monster in order to appease some cunts who hate white people. Not a great call.
And I probably contribute to many other systems of marginalization that I am not aware of.
Yeah, you are. I stubbed my toe this morning, and that was on a coffee table. Tables are made from wood. Wood is made from trees. Trees make oxygen, and you breathe oxygen. You stubbed my fucking toe, cunt. Stupid jokes aside, that is such a scary, fucked up way of thinking. No matter what you do, you personally are responsible for bad things in the lives of people you don't know, never will know, have literally no interactions with whatsoever.
Words like racist, misogynistic, and transphobic are not insults, nor are they stereotypes or generalizations.
They are words with very specific meaning. That is, put simply, thinking you are superior to someone from those demographics and that you treat them as such. However, they can be used as insults. I would be insulted if you called me racist because it means you are a fucking horrible person. They are generalizations. A lot of people in country X hate people from country Y, and they are stereotypes. People from the south of the USA hate them colored folks.
Rather, they are facts about the way we are socialized in a Western society, and in most other societies.
No, they are not. Because if they were, you could prove it with empirical data instead of warped facts and misread statistics.
I talk mostly about Western societies because that is what I have the most experience with.
And yet, I'll bet my left testicle that you barely have any experience of your own wider culture, that you live in a bubble surrounded largely by people who agree with you, and your views on the rest of society are based not on what you have lived, because, come on, you're like 5, but on the confirmation bias riddled ideas and perspectives of those people you interact with. It's called an echo chamber, darling. You might want to take a road trip, actually visit places that you think are full of racists and homophobes. Talk to the actual people and get to know them. Find out why they hold views you disagree with instead of assuming it's because they hate you or hate brown people. Actually live a little, mate.
Saying that we're all raised to believe that gender is defined by anatomy and chromosomes is not a stereotype. It's a fact about how we are raised.
Because it's a fact that cocks and chromosomes are what are used to figure out if a person is male or female. And that, by and large, it's a very good way to guesstimate whether someone is going to identify as one of those things. But I love that you're going to indirectly conflate this with racism. I'm going to say that you're transphobic because this biological scientific fact. But since this anomaly exists, you must hate the anomaly. But there are no things like that for race or gender or whatever. So you're just full of shit.
Even if you have liberal parents or teachers who teach you about gender identity, you still come into contact with the idea of biological gender through the media or through interactions with other people.
Well, aside from the fact that I'm not a brainwashed little ideologue like you, I come into contact with people who hold actual racist opinions quite often, and as long as they don't bring that shit up, I don't tend to care. But if they do, we argue about it. But the last thing that happens is me coming away with the belief that I'm better than X, Y, or Z race, because I'm not a fucking moron. I can't imagine an argument that reflects reality that could get me to change my stance on treating people as individuals. I'm such a fucking monster, I guess.
Even if you are raised by open-minded people, you will still be psychologically affected by living in a society built on imperialism.
I'll ignore the buzzwordy bullshit because, as we all know, the attitudes and actions of people hundreds of years ago directly reflects a country right now. It's impossible to change. I mean, look at the Germans. World War II was within a century, so of course they can't help themselves but murder Jews by the millions.
Which, by the way, created cisnormativity and heteronormativity.
I love the fact that you have advanced words that both mean normal, but can be used as slurs to anyone who disagrees with you. Good job.
A 2012 study, which I will link below, observed how white people empathize with black people less than we do with other white people.
Every study I've read shows this phenomenon is not exclusive to one race or another. It is the fact that, at least in some people, they will empathize less with the different demographics than their own. It literally applies to everyone, not just whites, you racist little shit. Thing is though, empathizing less doesn't mean not empathizing, and second, even if I don't empathize with someone, I can still treat them like a person because I'm not a fucking asshole.
Because our minds register their pain as being less severe than it actually is. We're raised to believe that black people are lesser.
Nope, fuck you Milo, prove it. Fucking prove it, instead of pulling utter nonsense out of your ass. Show me the school course that explicitly tells white children they are better than blacks, because I can show you the classes doing the exact opposite, and it fucking disgusts me. It would disgust me if it was the other way. It would disgust me if I was a third party and not one of the two races that are being told they're superior or inferior, because it's disgusting behaviour. And it's being done to children, and that shit really fucking pisses me off. Gotta get them young before they can judge reality without your bullshit ideological lens.
And that they're more likely to be dangerous to us, even though history has proved the opposite to be true.
Only thing I've learned is that poverty makes anyone desperate and dangerous, regardless of race. But fuck talking about helping black communities beat their problems with gang violence, because that's not my place, even if I had an idea that could quickly and easily fix it, giving everybody the best life possible, because my ideas are racist by default. Does anyone smell hypocrisy? Smells like bullshit.
We're raised to believe that gender is based on biology, and that features that are typically associated with one sex are repulsive or shocking on the other binary gender.
Repulsive? Depends what you're into, I guess. Shocking? I can see that. Seeing as the overwhelming majority of people just sit reasonably and happily within their biological gender, it can be a surprise if someone displays both traits, whether that be as extreme as a woman with a penis or a man with a vagina. However, I'm still going to treat you the same as other people, regardless of me being temporarily surprised by something about you. Are you beginning to see a pattern here, fuckface?
Especially when it comes to transgender women. Beauty standards affect everyone's psychology, and cisnormative beauty standards are no exception. If you followed me this far, and you agree that all people are psychologically affected by marginalization...
Nope. But do carry on.
But you disagree with calling these biases racism or transphobia or misogyny, then there's really no point in arguing further.
What, because you're wrong and would lose so fucking hard that the crater left by your destruction would consume half the US? If I thought I was actually right about something and someone wanted to argue their side with me, I would be like, calm the fuck on, bitch. Let's do this. It's like deep down, you know this is all illogical, unscientific gibberish.
Once a discussion boils down to disagreement over the definition of a word, it's probably not going to be very productive.
Well then stop making up new definitions and use the words everyone else has agreed on properly. You want to talk about systematic oppression that whites are doing to blacks that you feel is genuinely affecting people? Fine. Come up with a word or phrase and define it as that. It's like this. If you want a conversation with me about the best car to drive, but you have redefined words like speed and reliability to mean new things, we aren't going to be able to have a productive conversation. But that's not my fault. That's your fault. You have to kowtow to the way the majority use words if you want them to listen and help you. Expecting everyone to do what you want and to change things to the way you want without even trying? Well, it just makes you lot look like fucking entitled brats.
However, I will make an argument for why I believe we should view racism, transphobia, and misogyny from a wider lens, and you can feel free to respectfully disagree with me.
You want to tell me to be respectful? Because your very definitions are disrespectful to me. And you know what? I think you know it. I think you all completely understand when you use racist against someone who isn't by any standard but your special made up one, that everyone is going to think you mean a genuinely bad person who hates brown people. And especially when someone doesn't know this dirty little tactic. You will shift the goalposts and suddenly you don't have to actually argue your point anymore. You can sit back while they try in vain to convince you that they aren't racist, when you're not even playing the same fucking rule set. In fact, you aren't even playing the same fucking game. It's dishonest, and you need to fucking stop it. If you want to keep telling everyone that you want a conversation and that you want anyone to do a damn thing about your problems.
I think that when people hear words like racism, transphobia, and misogyny, they think of blatant, unapologetic hate.
Because that's what it means, you fucking moron.
Like violently attacking someone because of their identity. Certainly people who commit violent hate crimes are very, very bad people.
Duh.
However, I believe to properly dismantle systems of oppression, we must acknowledge that being racist or transphobic or misogynistic or ableist or whatever does not make you a bad person.
And there it is. So tell me, Milo, why the fuck should I care? If I'm not being a bad person, then why should I do a damn thing about it? And if you're going to conflate me not being bad with someone committing violence against another person, do you not think that maybe you've diluted the word so far that it means literally nothing? Seriously, if an actual hate crime is as bad as me talking to one of my black friends, then surely either hate crimes don't matter, or everything I ever do is horrible. But since racism doesn't make me a bad person, then hate crimes must be fine, right? Do you not see that your sophistry cracks apart the second you apply the tiniest critical pressure?
By being afraid to call ourselves racist, we are failing to acknowledge how our biases contribute to systematic racism.
Not afraid. I just don't inaccurately label myself as something I'm not because stupid people think it's a good idea to make up bullshit definitions.
Microaggressions are mocked as not really being a big deal, so we fail to acknowledge when they do legitimate harm.
Microaggressions by their very description could only harm a person who's already so fragile. that they probably just shouldn't interact with people at all. But I blame you and your bullshit. If you didn't teach that person that everyone different from them was out to get them, they probably would be able to not care when someone says something stupid or insensitive.
Yes, there have been a lot of police officers who have been outed as members of the KKK. But not every police officer who has harmed an unarmed Black or Latinx person has been a member of the KKK.
Non sequitur alert, non sequitur alert. This is not a drill.
Subconscious biases are the reason why we're more likely to see a Black person holding a cell phone or toy gun and think we see a dangerous armed person.
I have literally never thought that. Have you done that? Because that's kind of fucked, you little bigot.
And they're also to blame for the fact that many victims of police brutality were never given the medical treatments that could have saved their lives.
Note, no violent white person has ever not received necessary treatment for injuries sustained and died as a result. And all Black people die in police custody. This is a fact because I want it to be.
Microaggressions are also to blame for the fact that transgender women are stereotyped as being sex workers, which hurts people like Megan Taylor, who was jailed for 8 days after the hotel she was staying at wrongfully reported her.
Well, I had no idea that this was a stereotype, so this one thing, one time, everybody thinks this exact way. Have you ever heard of clutching at straws?
If we refuse to classify people who hold biases and stereotypes as racists or transphobes, then we're not acknowledging how damaging less blatant racism and transphobia can be.
But you assume absolutely everybody holds these biases in some quantifiable degree. And I fucking disagree. I've done inherent bias tests multiple times, and I always come out with no bias. I've not even had an anomaly after a few goes. It's almost as if people who are white aren't necessarily all these things you keep saying they are by default. It's like you don't know what you're talking about. Weird.
And we're not forcing people to become aware of their own microaggressions. The whole point of acknowledging that we're racist, transphobic, misogynistic, etc. is so that we can better recognize our biases and work to overcome them.
Or, now, just throwing this out there, it's kind of a super simple idea, but it might just work. In your everyday interactions, just treat people with the same basic standards you want to be treated with. Then it won't matter if you have those biases or not, because everyone's still getting the same treatment. If everybody did that for a couple of generations, even any possible learned biases would pretty much be gone, because there wouldn't be any way to learn them. Instead of spending the next zillion years shaming people till they just don't give a fuck about your bullshit and think if the nothing they are doing now is as bad as kicking the shit out of someone, well, they might as well have some fun. That's what you taught them, you fucking mong.
So those are my thoughts. I don't normally speak on issues that I feel like Black people can much more eloquently and originally speak on.
Why didn't you come up with your own ideas? Why are they better than you because of their skin colour? How do you not see the racist things you believe are not what you think they are? And worst of everything, why do you have to be so insufferably fucking smug when you are so painfully, obviously wrong? Well, thank fuck that's over. Time to go beat myself with reeds for being a straight white male. It's my own fault, really, for being born wrong. Catch you later.